Hi, everyone. This
Hi,
is
y'all.
Sisters of the Mystical Tarot, and I'm your co-host, Val, Dragonfly Crystals, along with my lovely co-hosts of Sisters of the Mystical Tarot, Aley, Heart and Soul Connected, aka Alice is the actual proper name, the birth name, proper.
You're trying to learn it.
Aley's a nickname.
That's right.
But we love Aley. And Marina, Heart Centered Tarot, and Aley voices, Shari voices from the swamp.
I'm somebody over there, yeah.
Brain on it. I'm going to keep calling everyone Aley from now on.
There you go. Makes it simple.
And don't forget, Marina's going to be giving you your report today, right? Your
Yes.
She's
the ladies told me that I look rather, professional today. So I said, well, then we'll be doing performance reviews. There are some things that we're going to need to discuss. And
That's
there's
right.
Things. So, Aley, just what do you have coming up on your channel?
I was supposed to have a show tonight, but it had to cancel. We had some issues, but tomorrow I'm going to be on with Diana and Paul White Dragon. We're going to be talking about some interesting
I like him.
outer space things. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And then I'll be on after that with Thomas and Jeff, the two tarot men. Yeah.
Fun. Sounds great. Sounds great. And everyone, like and subscribe to everyone's channels. Leave a comment. You can book readings with all these lovely ladies. And, Marina has classes. Aley and I are doing a class right now.
Check
it out. Yeah. Check it out. So, Marina, what do you have coming up on your channel?
Well, tomorrow we've got episode 122.
Yes, we do.
Messages for Light Workers. And I'll be hosting that one. And then on Friday, I'll be hosting Alice, and she's going to join me for Story in the Cards. I hope we're going to have something to read on.
It's really hard to find things these days.
I'm looking
like
over.
There's never a dry moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And besides that, the big event is on the 26th, and that's the Shine Your Light event. And I'll start, next week I'll start posting it on the channel just to keep reminding people. But it's a great event. This is the 6th event.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
Looking
great.
forward to that.
Great. It's a wonderful thing. Everybody tune in for that. And Shari, Voices from the Swamp.
You sure?
Yes, I think so. I won't call you Aley again. Well, maybe I might, but
Who knows? Hey, you worked. I'll answer.
It's not late for dinner. Yeah.
Well, Friday is episode 2 of The Other Side of the Coin, which was a new show that Mel had started.
Okay.
And it was supposed to have been a couple of weeks ago, but he was in the hospital. And so we canceled the show and moved it ahead. And then this week he was back in the hospital, but he's home now.
Good.
And feeling much better. And so Colleen talked to him today. And he's like, oh, no, I'm looking forward to being there. So we're going to try to make it
upbeat,
an unofficial fundraiser to just try to raise a little bit of money for him because he hasn't been able to work for the past month. So, he's got bills to pay like everybody else. And of course, Saturday is the slumber party with Ramon, who's every third Saturday of the month. And Alice will be joining us. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I haven't talked to Ramon in a long time either. So that's going to be fun.
And when he asked me if he could come on regular, he was like, how about like every third Saturday or something? I said, yeah, that's great. He was like, I'm going to have to find some naughty cards. So I went and brought him a deck of Rebel cards and sent it to him. Next day I get a phone call. I got naughty cards. Thank you. He was so excited. I said, well, you got to have the right cards, right?
Yes.
So,
Absolutely. Are you kidding?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll all be fun Saturday.
I think that's
with all three of us loons there, and we'll keep going. And Saturday morning, Nathan and I are doing a special Easter event for our members only, a live Zoom. We're not going to air it. It's just going to be for our members on Zoom, and ask anything you want. And we're going to come up with a couple of prizes to give away and whatnot. So that'll be 10 a.m. Saturday morning Central. So
that's great.
Perfect.
It'll be his members and my members. And
very nice.
We were talking and we were like, yeah, let's do something special for the members. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't done anything for my members in a while.
Run and subscribe to Shari's Voices from the Swamp so you can be part of that.
You can be part of that. And Val, I know you have another show today, and
I do. Thank you for asking, Alice. I have Arthur Ease Your Mind on tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern time.
Awesome.
So please tune in for that and bring your questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Sherry, if I can just butt in for a minute, Sherry reminded me, yes, I have a members get together on Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you're a member, make sure send me an email so that I can send you an email invite rather than just
there you go.
Post it up on
this.
Yeah.
All of us have memberships. Mine is on a website. You can join by dragonflycrystals.store. Marina's, Alice, and Shari are all on the YouTube channel. So you can join the membership there. You get a beautiful perks for being a member. So please consider joining them. In fact, join us all.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You'll be covered. You'll be covered all the way around.
You'll be covered for a little while, wouldn't you?
You'll be like, you'll be inundated. You'll never have to get another reading. But anyway, today the topic, it's somewhat hard to talk about in some ways, but it's something that in today's chaotic energy, things are surfacing between people in their relationships, be them friends, lovers, or married couple that have been together even 20 years. Siblings, it can be in all manner of relationships, boss and employee. This kind of energy kind of puts a strain in relationships in some way. It can. It doesn't necessarily have to, but it can. And when we feel that we're drifting apart from those who have different interests or beliefs than us, not that we have to sit down and talk about our beliefs, but even when you aren't talking about it, there's a divide because they aren't talking to you, because they don't want to talk to you about it because you're not having the conversation.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like confrontation.
No, people don't want to get into that confrontational energy. Exactly. So, and people are, sometimes you've been married 20, 25, 30 years, and you're not interested in getting up off your recliner. You have your TV show lineup, and you don't want to talk to your spouse about their spiritual growth or any classes they took or what they're doing. It's not interesting to you, and you don't care. Right. But but you might be one of those people that get irritated that somebody feels like they're pulling away from you because they're doing something new, doing something different, and you might react to that. Not you, maybe your spouse. Usually these people in the community are the ones learning. So there are some coping mechanisms and things that we can put in place. But there are some people that are just part of a soul contract that came in to be with us for a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's just for child agreements. You have a child with somebody and you can feel that relationship is over. You can feel the energy kind of go out of it.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, there's like nothing. You can feel that there's nothing between you. So these are things that are hard to talk about because if you've been together a long time, it can be,
It's difficult.
but you feel unseen by that person, unheard, and even alone. So if you've been in relationships where you feel like you're alone, all by yourself, even though you're living with someone, that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
And those things can be the soul contract, knowing what it's all about, the need for mutual understanding and finding peace within, bridging that, making a bridge, building it, even if they don't cross it, anchoring into your soul family. That would be us, your soul tribe. So knowing you have that energy to tap into. And so we're going to go around and ask the sisters how, what they think about this and how it's impacted them in terms of maybe they've had friends who come and talk to them about things, or, there's wisdom to be shared here. So we're going to start with Alice.
Oh, of course. All right.
You're on top, so you get to go first.
There you go. I've been very fortunate to have some very long-term friends. I meet friends at work, and they kind of hang. We don't split up, and of course, I was telling the ladies before we came on that I never expected at this time in my life that I would have such wonderful friends that I interact with a lot during the week and the weekend, and and we're happy with that. We may not be able to go out to eat or whatever, but if we have a problem or if we have need help, we know that they're there for us. So that's really nice. But I have collected in my past a lot of oddballs, and not only husbands, but people that are not usually embraced by anybody else. And maybe I'm one of them too. I don't know. That's fine. I'm certainly willing to look at myself, but I've had people that they're really not. There's just really nothing there, but I accept them for who they are, and they don't really accept me for who I am. So that's when it becomes a problem, because the ones I've had for a very long time, if I don't talk to them for months, it's not a big deal. It's not like, why haven't you called, or where have you been? There's none of that. It's like, well, you've been busy and I've been busy, and we just pick up
where you left off. Like nothing was in between.
Happened. But a couple of times I've been just flummoxed by people that all of a sudden just cut me off or cut. And I really do believe, and I won't play that game where it's their problem, because it's 50-50 at the very least. So there must be something that I've done as well. And I'm always trying to search to figure out what that is. But I think it was that I was just too much invested in some oddballs that maybe were not people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I mean, there's people who are loners out there who still are out trying to reach out in some way, but they don't want to have one-on-ones or
no, they don't. No, as a matter of fact, I had one, and she wanted to write a book, and it would never get published. And I said, just do the writing because you really enjoy it, and you'll see. No, I have to get. She was very competitive. This person, and we would play a game, and I was playing with her and her older children, and I'd say, "Oh, let her. She can go again." No, she can't. And it was like, So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And
exactly, these are exactly the kind of things that can make a relationship kind of fizzle out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know, I still feel and she would talk about other people and what they'd done to her, and I'm sure that that's what was going on about me as well.
Oh, sure.
So yeah.
And I always say to myself in the back of my mind, if they're talking about somebody else, they're talking about me to somebody else.
Well, yeah, and you know, sometimes
that's why I like people who don't gossip.
Yeah, sometimes it's not so bad, but sometimes it is. It's toxic, and you got to know when to move on. Yeah,
you got to know when to move on, right?
Anyway, I just love everybody, and I don't want to be that person. But you know, when I was in high school, I was friends with the jocks, the nerds, the hippies, the stoners. It didn't matter what anybody was doing because I didn't feel like I had to be in any one of those cliques. Right. And so, you know,
I was kind of the floater that ran between them all. You know,
I love it. I do.
Same thing.
But it is hard. It is hard when you're not communicating and you're in a sort of,
and that can be with somebody right in your own house.
Yes, absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, those of you who don't talk that much to your spouses, it's okay. If you've been together like 20 some odd years and you're like telepathic,
you know where they are. You know where they are.
You know where they are. You know how to hug each other and talk. You know, there's no need. If you're really feeling whole in yourself, you're not running to them to anchor part of yourself. You're already there. You touch base with that other power center that's in your house. You're one, and they're one. And it's a mutual admiration society.
And if it's a good relationship, you feel when the other one needs that hug, or just needs a few.
Well, we just hug each other anyway. We have our hug at night, hug in the morning, and whenever. So
Lewis used to roll his eyes and go, "Do y'all have to do that in the living room?" And we've been doing nothing but hugging each other, you know.
Because if you hug someone, it is such a heart connection.
It is
an energy exchange.
It is. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Hug, not a side hug. I'm talking the bear hug.
How about this one?
Full body hug.
That is like. Folks, let's.
But there are some people that don't like it, and there's a reason for it. So I try to say
it took me years to teach my husband how to hug.
I taught my grandchildren, no, you don't, or any of that. Or
if you're gonna hug.
You do. You hug. Because that's when you mean it. It's like a handshake.
Yes.
Or a real
the real drippy handshake.
Or somebody takes your fingers.
Or the opposite, and they grab you and crunch your fingers, and you're like, don't break them.
That's what Trump did to Pamela. He pulled her. But she stood there and she,
I have to tell you guys this one thing, because it's not my turn, but I have to tell you this because it came into my mind. When I was at one of those spiritual retreats or whatever, and you had to get into a circle and, everybody was supposed to hold hands, there was a gal next to me. She put her hand out like this. And I was trying to hold her hand, but she just kept it like this. So I had to and I told her, it'd be nice if you gripped my hand along with me gripping yours, because it was like holding a dead weight fish.
Yes.
And she didn't have to do any work.
Yes.
I mean, for those that
is
have
the only time I have never had that happen ever before, and never since.
Right.
So this folks is not holding hands with somebody.
No.
Yeah.
This,
grasping on is holding somebody.
Just yanking their arm out of socket.
Just steal the dead fish. The dead fish handshake. Yeah, and they do.
Dead fish hand. Anyway, so Aley, thank you for sharing. Okay, and Marina, what do you want to share about this?
For me, I like to be friends with everybody. I'll give everyone an opportunity.
Yeah.
There are certain boundaries that I have that are kind of almost set in stone, that you break it and that's it. Nothing more needs to be said. One of them is lying. If you lie to me,
Marina, Shari, can you mute Shari? Because I think
they're in their room now. Sorry.
Okay, good. Go
they
ahead,
were walking
Marina.
through.
I'm sorry,
the
Marina.
room.
Yeah,
that's
go
all right.
ahead.
Yeah. If someone lies to me about something really important, that's that's something that we really honestly can't get past.
Yeah.
Because I especially people that whose friendships and whatnot I cultivate, I hope that they realize that I try to be very non-judgmental.
Yeah.
So
you are,
I would much rather someone approach me and say, okay, I did something stupid. You're not going to like it, but here's what I did. Okay, we can work on that. We can definitely work on that. But stories, no, that makes me uncomfortable. And it's very similar to that, someone talking about others to you will talk about you. It's the same thing. Well,
you're just asking for somebody to be their authentic self with you.
Yes.
And you're as you are with them. And if they don't show up that way and they have deceit in some of the things they do, red flag.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes me doubt everything else that I hear or whatnot. And I'm blessed in that I have a good group of core lifelong friends that I know I can rely on, and they can rely on me. Doesn't matter the time of day or night, whatever you need something, I'm there. No questions asked. What do you need? Let me do it. And yes, we can go months without talking. But then when you do, it's like Val said, you pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
And you just carry on, right?
Yeah.
And then
that's how it should be. When you have that energy with someone and they're that beautiful friend relationship, soul relationship.
Yes.
You never lose that beautiful synergy. Yeah.
It's always there.
It's always
there are those people that, some people come into your life for a season and some come for a reason. And, so, being able to recognize that, someone is on the same life path that I'm on.
Yeah, exactly.
I can let them go with light and love. Just, I don't have any ill feeling. I wish you every success. I do want to see, everyone succeed, and you will do that at the rate that works best for you. Right. I don't remember being appointed Queen of the Universe. Well, not yet. Where I could tell people
just for the part, girl. You're styling.
I don't know about that, but
so sometimes we have to even very years long relationships that we have to let go of.
Yes, exactly.
They're not good for us on our journey, and we're not really being of benefit to them on their journey, because it's as much as we try to talk to them about something, they're not hearing.
Yes.
And so what they're saying, we're not hearing.
Exactly.
So
being seen and being heard both ways is pretty important, but there is something there that you recognize that maybe is no longer there.
Yes.
That where you don't have that thing with that spouse or that boyfriend or whatever, and you're going, it's kind of like a dead relationship. There's no reason to be together. It's that that feeling. That's when you know, folks. Yeah.
And
because
it's okay.
Really, and it's okay. It doesn't. I mean, usually in that instance, both leave, wishing each other well and everything. So it isn't a bad thing.
Thanks.
Yeah, and Diana is saying, "Well said, Marina."
Yeah.
Few of those.
In our
lives.
Yes.
Right, exactly. So I mean, that's really true. I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So Shari, thank you, Marina. Shari.
Well, it believe it or not, I'm actually really a very shy person.
What?
Shock, I know. I don't really make friends that easily,
Really?
It's always been kind of difficult for me. It's like I'm friendly to people and they'll be friendly back.
Well, you're not shy if you're friendly to people.
Well, I'm shy in the aspect of that closer a friendship, that relationship that you can develop.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I was always kind of like one step back from everybody.
Okay.
High school, there were 4 girls that were my friends, and they were the only 4 people that I hung out with, that I talked to, that knew me, I knew them. And there's a few of them I still talk to them on occasion today. It's our lives are nothing alike. We've all gone in way different directions, and that's okay. But every now and again, we bump into each other and can, share a little bit. And then, as I got older, and then of course I got married, and when we kind of went into the religious cult stuff, for the first time ever, I had female friends. Most of my friends were also usually guys. I just got along better with guys than I did with girls for whatever reason. Of course, come to find out, most of them were gay guys, but that was okay too.
That's perfect.
They were a big help, so one less thing to have to deal with. But when I started to wake up, I guess you could say, to the truth, and started kind of pulling out of that cult mentality, it was very shocking. The people that I thought I had developed that really close relationship with, just like Alice and Marina were talking about, that cold cutoff, just zoom. Yeah. And it was like, what happened? I'm still the same person I've always been. I'm just not spewing the crap that everybody else is over there, And it took a long time for me to kind of open back up to friendships again. And it wasn't until I found this community that I started making friends again, and most of the people that I consider my closest friends, I've never met in real life.
Yep.
We were thousands of miles apart, but I would trust them with anything and everything in my life, and hope that they feel the same. And I have a lot of friends, but it's that inner circle, I guess, was always difficult for me. And I guess because it was the trust factor, like Marina was talking about. If you lie, that kind of blows it. And that was kind of a big thing for me, was the trust factor. If you do something that breaks that trust, it's pretty much a done deal at that point, because I can't trust you anymore. And if you can't trust somebody, how can you have a relationship with them?
You really can't. You really can't.
No,
people who are married who have trust issues don't have a solid foundation.
No. And sometimes the trust is not warranted because the other person hasn't done anything to break that trust. It's
some people just have like they're jealous. They have a jealous thing going on and they haven't dealt with it. And so it triggers them if you're late from work, if this or that.
You're talking to that person. Why are you talking to that woman? Why are you talking to that man? You know. Yeah. And I've watched friends go through this. I mean, I was extremely fortunate with my husband was not just the person I loved, but he was my best friend. And we could sit and talk about anything for hours on end. And there would be times when we could spend hours on end and never say a word to each other.
Which is the beauty of being together with somebody who's like your soul mate or your divine complement.
Yeah, he was my
because
soul
you can
mate.
just literally, you're in sync. So you don't have to, there's nothing to say if you don't have anything to say.
Yeah, exactly. You have the best conversations and not say a word.
Yes,
exactly. Exactly. Like because it's just there. And
it's just there. And you feel that
there, you know, when the other one needs that hug or when the other one needs you to go fix them a cup of coffee and bring it to them.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't ask for it, you just get that feeling that they could really use that right
You can feel the energy in a relationship. So you can definitely feel all of that. If you have that kind of synergy going. Yeah, definitely.
And,
when you're in that same.
So, you know, it's like and I know when I tell people I'm kind of shy. I don't really have a lot of friends like y'all all did. Everybody laughs at me like, yeah, right. But it was really hard to come on and start doing this. In the beginning.
But you were so involved in the chat when I was first on, and you were always there, Shari.
Yeah, because nobody saw me and I didn't see anybody, and it was, it was anonymous. You know, I mean, they knew my name or whatnot, but people weren't looking at me, you know, with expectations. I felt freer to express myself that way. Which is probably why there's so much problems with people with text and chats and whatnot.
Across the board. They can't understand the tone of your voice. They can take something the wrong way.
Wrong way, or they just
when you're
just so many different options.
When you see each other, when you're looking at each other, you can understand what someone's saying more by their facial features and by
facial expressions, the tone of their voice, if they're looking you in the eye or if they're looking everywhere but at your eyes, you know. And when I first started to do this, it was probably one of the most difficult things because suddenly it was that self-consciousness of people are looking at me, you know. What if my hair's not right? What if my makeup looks wrong? What if my, you know, what if my top denture pops out, which happens on occasion? What if I fall asleep in front of the camera, which I do on a regular occasion?
You have done that, Shari.
Yes, absolutely. Just go right down. It just takes over. And the fact that everybody can tease me about it without belittling me over it was what kind of helped me get past it so that I can make a joke about it when I start to do my slumber party every week. I start out with, if I go to sleep on you,
well, it's a slumber party, isn't it?
I'll wake up.
That's right.
It's a slumber party.
Yeah.
You know,
and be wrong about that.
they all, you know, they all tease me about it, but I start out the show with, I am known to fall asleep. So if I do, just give me a minute. I'll wake back up. We'll keep going.
When you start drooling all over the microphone is when people
that's when you got to call it quits.
And Linda De Gonzalez says, I'm very careful in the chats now that I have a channel. Yeah, you kind of have to be, you know, in some ways when you're there.
Exactly. You have to be more conscious of being more free with your expressions or your advice, or because that can sometimes morph into
Well, people can take things wrong. They can't see your face. They can't hear your tone of voice. All these things lead to misconceptions.
Yes.
And people, you don't know what people's triggers are, you know, and I've had these kind of things happen to me as well.
Exactly.
But,
Exactly.
you know, just from people I've done classes with. So some of those things.
Diana's like, fellow Gemini, I get it. Yeah. See,
yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Most of my life I was a wall hugger or a wallflower or whatever I would kind of stand back, and if I knew everybody in the room, I was the center of attention. I had no problem with it. But if I walked into a room cold and I didn't know anybody, I was hugging the walls until someone else walked over and made first contact. And I was really, I've always been like that. So
yeah. So thank you.
This is different because now I don't have to hug the wall. I am the wall.
Yes.
So
yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Shari. Thank you, Shari, for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And when so navigating relationships in these chaotic energies, when relationships drift. So when others seem disinterested in bridging the gap and you're left unseen, unheard, and even alone, here's some tips that can truly help. So honor the soul contract shift. Not every relationship is meant to last the way it began. It may turn into a friendship, and you might end that particular type of relationship and turn it into something else. So as your frequency rises, old contracts dissolve. What once served both of your growth may now be complete. And you'll feel that when you don't feel that energy between you the same way it was. Even karma, where it's that push-pull kind of energy, it will dissolve and not be there anymore. And you'll go, wow, the relationship got better. But then all of a sudden you notice you don't have anything in common.
Yeah.
So, because you're not fighting. So it can simply evolve into a quieter, more spacious connection. It doesn't mean you have to run and end a relationship, and it's very good to go to the normal conclusion of something. And maybe it doesn't conclude, maybe you go further with it. But you ask yourself, is this relationship still in divine alignment with who I am becoming? And somebody wrote, and I can understand this, S. Steele wrote, the hardest part, and if the other person doesn't want to let go because they don't realize you've grown apart. This is something that you're going to hear occasionally. But usually if you stick in a relationship long enough to have all the talks between the two parties, hashing it out and talking about it and being seen by all ways and being heard, the other person's going to know that you don't feel seen and heard, or that you aren't connecting to them in the way in which you would like to. So it won't be a surprise. It'll be it'll morph in a nice way. It won't be a bad.
That's what's so important about family counseling.
Yes, family
counseling can get everybody in the same room.
Because even they will go, oh yeah, there might be somebody that I'm more aligned with. And they'll start to let go and go, oh yeah, I'm hanging on to this, but what am I hanging on to? You're hanging on to the familiar, but you're not hanging on to what is your next highest good in relationship. And that's someone who you're going to have more synergy with. And so releasing the need for mutual understanding. It can be painful when someone you love no longer gets you. But the truth is, you don't need to be understood to be whole. Your path is sovereign. So affirm to yourself, I honor my journey even when others do not walk beside me. Because you might be in a 30-year-old relationship and your spouse, they're not interested. They're not into the metaphysical new agey stuff, and they don't even want to hear about it. Yeah. So you're not seen and heard on that level. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
So so you don't need that. That's not one of you're not, they're not there to entertain you. Or that's not their job. You're whole all by yourself. So don't put a lot of stuff on your spouse or your loved one, because that's really not their responsibility. There'll be other things and ways you connect. So the third thing is finding peace in sacred witnessing. So rather than fixing or explaining, becoming the loving witness, let them have their path, their timing, their truth, even if it feels vastly different from yours. Love them from your center, that would be your heart, not from your wounds.
Yes.
So you've got to let go of those preconceived ideas about them and how they should show up for you. Well, you aren't showing up for me, right? So it's really true. And so 4, be the bridge, even if they don't cross it. Build, so that's a bridge. You're a bridge, but they may never cross it. Being the bridge doesn't mean that someone has to walk toward you. It means you hold a space with open arms, grounded heart, with no expectation. This is the highest expression of unconditional love. And it's the kind of thing Alice was talking about when she opens up to friends who are even quirky or oddballs or whatever, and she may not have everything in common with them or nothing. She still has the bridge.
Yes.
She builds it. So Alice is a bridge builder. There's no doubt about that. It means you hold the space with open arms, grounded heart, with no expectation. This is the highest expression of unconditional love, by the way. Your calm, your love, your light. They ripple further than you may ever see. So that's really important. And then one last thing, anchoring into your soul family. All of us here in this community.
Yeah.
If someone isn't willing or ready to meet you where you are not without connection. Soul family is gathering. And soul family is gathering. Here we are. So look around. New aligned people are showing up, open to unity, expansion, and truth. Don't put all your weight of having a relationship on your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever. Don't put all that on someone. No. It's just projecting stuff out there. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. So,
and it is setting the other person up for failure, because if you can't articulate what it is that you want or that you need, they're not going to be able to.
They can't deliver it.
No, they can't deliver it. And there's I was going to say we're not mind readers. Well, in that case, we're not mind readers.
Right.
And it's like, feeling like you're half a person and you're searching for the other half a person to make you whole.
Exactly.
It never works.
It never works.
It never works.
No.
It never works.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking that when we were younger, as younger women, a friend would have a boyfriend, and then they never talk to you for a long, long time. And then the boyfriend
right?
Yes.
It happened in high school. Oh, they have a boyfriend. They disappear.
I never see them anymore. Yeah. And then the boyfriend dumps them, and all of a sudden,
they're back.
Yeah. And I tried to tell my own daughter, she has a very dear friend who went to high school with her, but my daughter doesn't have children, and she does. And I said, just bide your time. I said, there'll come a day where those kids will be all grown up, and you still have something in common with her.
Yeah.
But you right now don't, because you're living.
You're on different mission.
You're on
your life.
Yeah.
You're doing different things right now, but then eventually it'll all get on the same wavelength with kids and everything,
Right.
for sure. Yeah, everything, it'll all cycle together at some point for some people.
See, I get that because I was the last one to get married out of all of my friends from high school. Everyone else was married and having kids, and I was
I was the first one
looking in the mirror thinking, well,
Oh
what's wrong with me? How come nobody wants to marry me? And it was because I didn't want to marry me until I was whole.
It always comes back to you
until I was ready to be a proper, or not proper, but a engaged spouse.
Yes.
How can I expect someone else to be an engaged spouse?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think because of our age, we all grew up in a time and era when that was so put into our DNA of you finish high school and you go to college to find a husband.
Yeah.
Not to get a degree or an education. You go to college to get to find a husband.
That was the old school thought.
Yeah.
And then you get married, and then you have kids, and then your life is over.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the old way. And here's a little something that is a visualization when you're having trouble in relationships, whether it's friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, whatever. Visualize a soft golden cord connecting your hearts to theirs, and say out loud or in your mind, I bless our connection with grace. I release all need for it to look a certain way. I honor your path, and I choose peace within mine. Then gently let the cord dissolve into light, returning both of you to your own sovereign field. Now, just some closing thoughts on this are: some will grow with you, some will grow away from you, but all are part of the greater weaving of love and transformation. So every relationship you would come upon in your life is a very important relationship for you in one way or another. Even those ones that last 2 days or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's got a reason for everything. And
and you look at some couples that have been together for a while and they grow opposite.
Yeah.
They grow so totally opposite from who they were in the beginning that it's like, how did you ever even connect? I mean,
yes,
neither of you are the person you were, and you've both gone in opposite directions.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. My husband and I grew together and became stronger in our bond. But yet I saw a lot of friends that, their relationships, their marriages went the total opposite.
And usually what you said a little while ago, Shari, is key to the foundation of a relationship. When you are ready, it's when you love yourself, when you are whole, then you can let love in, and you're going to see them in a non-judgmental way. You're going to see them from that soul love. And that's key to success, because then you start putting your wounds on top of someone. If you have all these places, you're going to be triggered every 2 minutes. Everything is going to bother you.
Well, you expect them to fix you.
Yes,
that's not their job.
So this is why usually the first marriage doesn't really last. There's all these wounds going back and forth. It's not a real relationship. It's a wounding kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a starter marriage.
It's a starter marriage. There's a starter marriage. Well, some
people get to go the whole distance, like Shari did, until her husband left. But a lot of us didn't do so well on our starter marriage.
I once heard my husband tell a young guy, he and his wife had come over. They were newlyweds, and and I overheard them talking in the other room, and the younger guy was asking my husband about, trying to figure out this marriage thing. And I don't know if I feel like I'm constantly doing something wrong. And my husband went, well, it takes about 10 years before they get his house broke. Once they get his house broke, things become a lot smoother.
Yeah.
And I could see the other guy's face through the angle in the doorway with this shocked look on his face. And he says, house broke. He says, you mean like a dog? And he said, yeah. He says, because that's what they do, is they housebreak us into how to live in their home.
Well, at least he knew.
Needs. And,
sounds like a guy that really knows
Sounds like a
and
smart,
I think he
smart
figured it out. He figured it out because like months after we got married was when he got injured. And we had to do complete role reversal.
Mm-hmm.
He was home. I had to go out and go to work.
Yeah.
I know 6-7 months into after I went back to work, we had Lewis. Lewis was not quite a year old. I came home one night and my husband was like splayed on the couch. And he went, this is the hardest effing job I have ever had in my whole life. I don't get a coffee break. I don't get a cigarette break. I don't get a lunch break. I can't go pee without something going wrong. And I'm like,
isn't that great? That's awesome. I love that.
And it was because he got it. Once
he got it.
He got it. And then once he got it, he was like, oh, I can do this. This is nothing. And then it became a competition to him. If I'm going to be a full-time house parent, then I'm going to be the best damn one I can be. Yeah. And he would knock himself out at it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it just took him a while to get there. And then once he realized it, he was like, hands down, I will never make fun of a woman who stays home or takes care of kids or works and takes care of kids. He's like, I don't know how the hell y'all do that. You know, that would be impossible. I mean, it's like you learn.
So
you do what you got to do.
Yeah, you do. And just a little something here on this same topic, but in a bit broader perspective. Understanding the energy of separation in 2025, where we're all going through these massive changes, and that's how some of these relationship issues come up. Why this polarization is part of the awakening process. It's really part of that breaking up of humanity's learning to choose love over fear. Even when beliefs differ, it is really not saying they're the other. Oh, those other people. No, it's stop saying other. We're all
one. Yeah.
We're all one. Yeah. So that illusion of division, that 3D versus 5D consciousness, seeing beyond the roles and the stories people are playing, like we were just talking about in the little spots with our own community, out to the broadest perspective of the world. This is the same thing that's going on. So every thing that you're seeing that we talked about today is happening for the world.
It is.
In the bigger way. So that sacred neutrality and compassionate detachment, being grounded in truth without needing others to agree with you is paramount. How to lovingly witness others without judgment. In other words, let them talk. You don't have to agree with them, and you don't have to argue with them after.
Yeah.
Just let them talk. They'll feel heard. Holding that space for different timelines and soul journeys. So allowing yourself when it's time, when you have to allow in something new, know when that is, if you can, and let that happen. And that's a tough one. I know that.
You know what I really love is that the community that works together in these collaborations, everybody's got something special.
Yes.
That they can gain from the other person. For instance, with you, Val, you don't put up with you said, I don't worry about that or whatever, which is fine. Marina, she tells people this is my channel. You know, I love that. That's who I want to be at times, because I sometimes feel like I'm not, and with Shari, she's just there for everybody, and she's working backstage, and she's working front stage.
Yeah, exactly.
and the other folks in here. I mean, I could go on, but it's all of us are each other's teachers.
Yes.
And we can gain so much if we look at that from a
I learned so much watching you, Aley. I really do. I mean,
you're a sweetheart.
I learned so much on so many varied topics.
Yes.
Aley is good about that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of
the person that knows a little about everything.
Sorry, that they do today without Aley's helping hand. There's a lot of people that have channels.
Me on her channel.
I'm one.
Really, yeah. Marina too, is just as wonderful. And I pulled some cards on all this energy earlier.
Oh, cool. Good.
So these are the Archangel Michael light. And it says you are protected. So this is really about you can perceive with confidence you are safe. So safe in your own energetic bubble. And, someone new is coming. So there's always someone new coming. You can think of it that way. New friends, new opportunities, new
Absolutely.
to meet, new agreements you'll make, new everything. It's coming in. There's always someone coming
there
in.
Is.
And
there
important new relationships on the horizon. Open your mind and heart so that happiness can enter your life. So basically being open. And don't be afraid. Step into that spotlight. And you have a message that the world needs to hear. It's time to share your wisdom. And, a lot of us suffer from the imposter syndrome, or you don't have the confidence level. There's all this. This is just your ego. Yeah. La, 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 la. It doesn't mean that's the real you. Of course it's not. So don't let that stop you. Don't let it stop you.
That's right. I'm Mary Thornberry. You always have something to offer. And thank you.
Yes.
I mean, everybody is offering a lot of things, but all of us are spreading an energy. We really are creating a power through this platform. I love it. It's wonderful. And it's so important to have you and others in the chat because that's part of it.
Oh, that's a big part.
What would we be if we're just sitting here going to ourselves?
Exactly.
This is our community. We're all together. We're melding, meshing together. The synergy of our energy in this community is like a wave.
We're the equivalent of a potluck. We each bring our own little thing so that we can all sit down and enjoy it.
I always think of it like a puzzle, and it's like a mosaic where everyone is the piece that fits in there just right. And it's that beautiful energy going out. I love that because
just no Jello mold with flaky fish, please. Okay?
No Jello mold with flaky fish. No, that is no
Jello. Period.
So the reason why we say that, folks, is because every single one of you is so important to the big picture.
It is
so important, essential, and even when you participate and shine the light in a group like that, in that big, large platform, you're going to enjoy that kind of synergy, that energy and the flow. Yeah.
I agree with Amanda. We should all get continuing education credits.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I know this was a hard conversation sometimes to talk about, but these things are happening, right now. They're happening for a lot of people, that you might find a little friction between you and your loved ones, or, and you're going, what? You just feel a little cranky one day and, whatever.
Let it rip. Yeah.
Yeah. It can be on the most mild level to we haven't talked in days, living in the same house. So, it's good to talk about this and get it out there. So we can understand it better. And so thank you all for joining us. And I can't believe we've already done an hour. And please like and subscribe to all these lovely ladies' channels. Heart
as well as Val's channel,
Heart Centered Tarot, Voices from the Swamp, and Dragonfly Crystals, Next Level Channeling. Yes, thank you.
Boom. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you so much for being part of this discussion. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week on Shari's Voices from the Swamp.
Right.
So thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.